Styles of negotiation. Negotiation isn't just about slick talk and getting the upper hand, at least not always. In this section, Herb Cohen dives into different styles of negotiation, particularly the contrast between competitive win-lose and collaborative win-win approaches. He makes it clear that while some negotiators focus on finding solutions that benefit both sides, others view negotiation as a battlefield where only one side can emerge victorious. And that brings us to the Soviet style of negotiation, Cohen's term for a win-at-all-costs approach that has nothing to do with nationality, but everything to do with tactics. These negotiators don't play fair and they don't play nice. Their goal? To dominate. Their method? A 6-step game plan designed to wear down their opponents, and it all starts with the extreme initial position. Extreme initial positions, the art of the ridiculous offer. Imagine you're selling your car for $10,000 and someone offers you $2,000. At first, you might laugh it off, but as time passes, you start second-guessing. Was I asking too much? Should I lower my price? That's exactly what win-lose negotiators want. Cohen breaks down how skilled negotiators, like the Soviets in his examples, use extreme first offers to manipulate expectations and control the playing field. Whether they're buyers or sellers, their approach is strategic. As buyers, they lowball their offer to make the seller feel like they have no other options. Example, the Soviet Union's secretive wheat purchases or their attempt to buy Long Island real estate at a laughably low price. By keeping negotiations private and controlling competition, they pressured sellers into lowering their expectations. As sellers, they do the opposite. They set sky-high prices and encourage aggressive bidding wars, driving the final price way beyond what's reasonable. A perfect example? The battle for the 1980 Moscow Olympics TV rights, where Soviet negotiators played U.S. networks against each other, escalating the price from an expected $60 to $70 million to an absurd $87 million. This technique works because we let it work. We get pulled into the psychology of negotiation, believing that the initial price, no matter how ridiculous, sets the foundation for what's fair. Even when we know better, we hesitate to counter too aggressively for fear of ruining the deal. Extreme initial positions are a power play, plain and simple. Whether you're buying a car, negotiating a salary, or bidding on a contract, someone might try to throw you off with an outrageous offer. The key takeaway from Cohen's lesson? Don't let their first move define the game. Instead, recognize it, counter strategically, and negotiate on your own terms. Limited authority. This one's a classic. Someone pretends they don't have the power to make the final decision. I'd love to help you, but my boss has the last say. It's a stall tactic that puts pressure on you while making them look powerless. I once had a client pull this move during a business deal. We agreed on terms, but at the last minute they said, I have to check with my senior partner. Suddenly, all our negotiations meant nothing, and they came back asking for more concessions. Cohen says the best way to counter this is by questioning their authority early on. Ask directly, who makes the final decision? That way, you don't waste time negotiating with the wrong person. Bait and switch. Ever seen an amazing deal advertised only to be told, oh, sorry, that one's gone, but we have this other, more expensive option? That's bait and switch. It's frustrating, but it works because by the time you realize what's happening, you've already invested time and effort. Cohen shares a great example with a job offer, where you're promised one salary, but once you've committed, the terms suddenly change. His advice? Never lock yourself into a deal too early. If the other party suddenly shifts the terms, be ready to walk away. Adversary concessions viewed as weakness. This one really stuck with me because it explains why some negotiations feel like a battlefield. Some people, especially in high-stakes business or international politics, don't see negotiation as give and take. They see it as win or lose. If you make a concession, instead of seeing it as goodwill, they see it as weakness. Cohen gives an example from the Korean War negotiations. When the U.S. made a big concession to move things forward, the other side just dug in harder. Why? Because in their mindset, backing down means losing. This is important to remember, especially if you're dealing with competitive, aggressive negotiators. If you give too much too soon, they won't reciprocate. They'll just push harder. Stingy in concessions? Some negotiators barely give an inch. They make you work so hard for every little concession that by the end you feel exhausted and relieved just to get something. The trick here is patience. Cohen says these negotiators play the long game. They stall, delay, and make tiny counteroffers over long periods to wear you down. I once had a client who did this. Every little change in the contract took weeks to approve, and when they finally agreed on something, they made it seem like they were doing me a favor. In reality, they were just waiting for me to get tired and settle for less. Cohen's strategy? Recognize the pattern and hold your ground. The moment they see you're not rushing, they lose their power over you. Deadlines. This one is a killer. You set a deadline thinking it's firm, but the other side acts like it doesn't exist. Then, at the last minute, they suddenly become active because they know you're under pressure. Cohen gives a brilliant example of a Soviet property deal where the buyers ignored all deadlines until the last possible moment, then made their final lowball offer after the deadline passed. And guess what? The desperate seller took it. The lesson? If your deadline isn't real to them, don't let theirs be real to you. If they try to rush you at the end, slow down instead. Call their bluff. Final thoughts. This whole section of the book is packed with valuable insights. What I love about Cohen's approach is that he's not just teaching you how to use these tactics, he's helping you defend against them. The big takeaway? Always be aware of what's happening in a negotiation. If you see these tricks in play, don't react emotionally. Stay calm, be patient, and remember that you always have the power to walk away.
Ever wished a book could change your life? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Bookpecker, where we peck into the pages of the most insightful books on financial freedom, personal growth, and beyond. I break down must-reads, share real takeaways, and help you unlock knowledge without the fluff. Expect honest reviews, practical lessons, and maybe a surprise or two along the way. So, if you love books and want to grow, subscribe now and let's explore together.